The death toll of the landslide that occurred at La Falaise Chang in the Menua division rises to 13. 8 corpses were retrieved today in the course of a search operation. Meantime, travel agencies plying major highways leading to the west and northwest regions have increased transportation fare. The management blames the increase on the fact that they are forced to use longer routes. Away from that, three members of the Constitutional Council, amongst them Clement Atangana, President of the Constitutional Council, are being dragged to court by members of the Cam Renaissance Movement political party. They are being accused of fragilizing the independence of the Constitutional Council. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Once more, thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. Today, 8 corpses have been retrieved from the site where the catastrophic landslide occurred on Chang Cliff in the West region, bringing the total number to 13. The bodies were dug up by search team who have been on the site since morning. Ase Lucy Liengu is a lady on that story.
The Army Rescue Unit have retrieved the bodies of 8 persons in debris on the Chang Cliff in the West region. This adds the number to 13 people who have lost their lives. The discovery comes 3 days after the catastrophic landslide as search operations continue. Among the lifeless bodies recovered on Friday, November 8, is a baker who was on his way to Sanchu to deliver bread. Unfortunately, he was swallowed by a landslide. The Army Rescue Units have mobilized on the site after persons of goodwill were seen with household equipment like picks and shovels. Health experts from the West Regional Delegation, under the supervision of the Regional Delegate Dauda Shimu, deployed on the field, are working hand in hand with rescuers.
After now, we know there are other persons who have been dead, and we have to take care of their body in the mortuary and disinfect all the set that has been infected. And another major thing is that from now to take care of water, who is drained here by the population to avoid an eventual epidemic.
While the search proceeds, the bodies as of now are at the Chang Regional Annex Hospital morgue.
In the same vein, a geographer highlights some acceptable actions to adopt by the search team on the Sancho Cliff to safely retrieve bodies. He advises that the sites be completely leveled and secured. Access ways should be created in order to ease mobility and evacuation of these bodies. He adds that every actor involved, including the military, medics, must be present on the site. Innocent Aze reports.
Search is still continuing to retrieve possible bodies in the collapsed earth on the Sancho Cliff. From updates, over a dozen corpses have already been found. While the search persists, experts like this geographer advise on practices to adopt on such a site by the search team. First and foremost, after the catastrophe, it was the place of the Civil Protection Department of the Ministry of Territorial Administration to deploy a rescue team, security forces and medics on the site. The security forces have as well secure the area such that people are very far from the site given the risk of multiple landslides. Had it been that happened immediately after the first landslide, no one would have been victim of the second. Survivors could have been transported urgently to hospitals. The geographer furthers that medics must be present on the site to immediately seal decomposing corpses to avoid spreads of illnesses. He also says the entire surrounding should be completely leveled to enable the team easily search and recover bodies. Access ways should also be created to facilitate mobility during the search.
Il est important de pouvoir dynamiter le site et de reprendre un travail efficient de débrayage.
According to the geographer, all these measures will only permit to recover corpses because it is impossible to get survivors more than 72 hours after the double landslide.
And in a related story, owners of some interurban travel agencies in Douala have slightly increased transportation fare. Those leaving Douala for the west or northwest regions are those who are concerned by this increase. This has been blamed on the landslide that completely cut off circulation along the Chang stretch of road. Sedi Chakutio tells us more.
As a result of the landslide incident that occurred 2 days ago along the road linking Sanchu and Chang in the west region, passengers in Douala complain of an increase in transportation fare at some travel agencies heading to the west region. The fact that the road is blocked is a psychological and financial problem. This is an increase which wasn't planned and it really affects us. This increase is due to the deviation the driver has to take before reaching his destination. Thus, leaving from Douala to Buda, one has to pass through Bafoussam, a deviation not appreciated by passengers, this due to its deplorable state. I am afraid because of the bad state of the road. The road passing through Bafoussam is really in a deplorable state. Psychologically, yes, I am afraid. After what happened on La Falaise, I don't know if I will travel in good conditions, and the road is not in a good state. Despite the fact that a 500 francs increase was noticed in travel agencies leaving Douala to the west region, those heading to the northwest region maintained their prices. We haven't yet increased our tariffs.
Parce que c'est quelque chose qui nous a surpris aussi comme ça. Et actuellement, c'est la compagnie.
We can surprise our customers with this increase. So for the moment, the agency endorses the loss.
Le fait que c'est arrivé brusque et pour respecter aussi notre clientèle, on ne pouvait pas augmenter le prix. Mais ça pèse beaucoup plus sur la fatigue des chauffeurs.
Our drivers are tired, our cars get bad, but yet we remain on our normal prices. Though difficult, we are going through this, helping our customers.
Pour aller à Buda et à Bamenda, comme c'est notre destination.
Users of the National Road number 5 only aspire on one thing: one day get rid of this nightmare so as to be able to travel in good conditions.
The president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, Professor Maurice Kamto, castigates Biya's regime or the ministry or the government over what he qualifies as lack of empathy towards victims of the landslide that occurred in Chang in the Menua Division West region of Cameroon. He says that was mean, reacting in such a way. He was speaking during a press conference held in Yaoundé. Let's take a listen to Professor Maurice Kamto in this excerpt.
So my statement is on the abandonment, more than 2 days later, of the Cameroonians buried following the landslides at the Chang Cliff and the CPDM regime's lack of humanity. They dared to do it, to abandon dozens of compatriots whom they had left trapped by the landslides at the Sanchu Cliff by Chang after the first landslides on 5th November 2024 at 11 a.m. to go and celebrate the 42nd anniversary of the accession to power of the national president of their party, the CPDM. The loss of human lives would have been spared. In fact, as I said in my first statement on this disaster on 6th November, as soon as the first landslides occurred at 11 a.m., the emergency was to close off access to the cliff at 3 points: at Melong, for vehicles arriving from Douala or Bafang, at Sanchu for vehicles from this town going towards Chang or Melong, and at the entrance of the cliff on leaving to the Chang town. But in their chronic incompetence and thoroughness, the various people in charge did the opposite of what needed to be done to save human lives. The latest news is that there are still vehicles and people on the cliff where further landslides could occur as we speak.
Professor Maurice Kamto, National President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, speaking there. Away from news connected to the landslide that occurred in Chang, we now take you to a locality known as Pondo Bal in the Dian division of the southwest region, where 4 people have been killed and tens of houses burnt in that part of the country. The destruction occurred during a military raid in that locality as the fight to capture separatist fighters continues. Smajikan Gabriel reports.
A popular drinking spot scattered.
Yes, today na the 4th of November 20.
Several houses burnt into ashes and civilians killed. These are the outcome of a raid that was organized in Pondo Bal, Njan division of the southwest region. According to reports, the forces of law and order had a tip-off about the presence of suspected separatist fighters in the locality. Upon their arrival, a gun battle will commence between the separatist fighters and the state forces, which will lead to the killing of an alleged separatist fighter and his wife, alongside 2 civilians, a woman and a man. After the successful escape of the alleged separatist fighters, inhabitants of Pondo Bal will pay for not informing the military on time. 10 houses were set ablaze, while the most popular drinking spot in Pondo Bal will also be scattered. The state forces have promised tough times to the separatist fighters should they return to Pondo Bal, a village in Jan division of the southwest region.
And away from that sad story, the beer sector in Cameroon is rocked by an unending crisis which appears to be intensifying even after the mediation of the Cameroonian Minister for Trade. Consumers say the bar owners and tenders of drinking spots have refused to sell at the regulated prices. From Armstrong Sanda explains to us what's the cause.
Scenes like these have become recurrent in Cameroon, with bars, snack bars, off-license and nightclub owners disagreeing with their clients on the prices of drinks. A bar owner says a crate of beer cost 7,800 francs from 7,100 francs, and when a bottle from a crate of 12 is sold at 650 francs, they end up with the cost price of 7,800 francs, making no profit. Ironically, some consumers say that the increase in prices make no difference, as they were already paying at over 650 francs. He says for over a year he has not bought a bottle of beer for less than 700 francs CFA. He pays 800 francs, 900 francs and 1,000 francs in some cases for the same quantity known to be regulated as 650 francs CFA. His story is not different from this other Cameroonian, and they all think that nothing has changed in essence. Another preoccupation is the scarcity of drinks and particular choices. Consumers say that they are obliged to consume their less desired choices in drinking spots. We are used to it, and in all drinking spots that we visit these days, tenders say drinks are scarce. Whatever they offer, in the end, we take without complaining. Their hope is that the situation gets better before the month of December. In a strong-worded press release, Cameroon's Minister of Trade warned bar owners and tenders against any attempt to increase the prices of drinks, calling it illegal. As a follow-up, some drinking spots in Yaoundé and Douala were sealed for illegally increasing the prices of drinks.
And now to talk health, a press release from the Ministry of Health raises an alarm on the consumption of a specific drug known as Litacol used for relief of nasal congestion. According to the press release, Cameroonians should be very conscious on the type of Litacol they buy because there are a lot of counterfeit drugs right now in the market. We have details with Cedric Chaputio.
In a press release from the Minister of Public Health, the counterfeit medicine Litacol tablet manufactured by Medical Pharmaceutic used in the relief of nasal congestion and sinuses is in circulation in the national territory, an incident which brings back on the table the selling of illicit medicine in the country. It's not only in the medical sector that we have illicit drugs, in all sectors we have them.
a donné l'autorisation de mise sur le marché pour un produit comme celui-là.
But in the medical system, it is very dangerous because it is what each and everyone consumes so as to get better.
Une copie, un faux médicament.
So the minister has got it right if he says that this Litacol has to be removed from the market.
Pour l'enlever du territoire national.
According to the minister, the medical pharmaceutic laboratory, holder of several marketing authorizations in Cameroon, does not hold a marketing authorization for Litacol. The authentic Litacol, having obtained a Cameroonian marketing authorization AMM number 1138-1201 October 22nd, 2018, is manufactured by Generic Healthcare PVT Ltd GHPL India. For pharmacists, measures have to be taken to stop the production and selling of illicit drugs.
Devrait être suffisamment répressif. Vous savez que la contrefaçon de médicaments, c'est un crime. Et Interpol est très impliqué dans la lutte contre la contrefaçon. Donc il n'y a pas d'autres mesures. C'est des mesures d'application des lois et de la réglementation.
To some of them again, this will disturb the local production of medicines in the country.
Aujourd'hui, environ 6000 références, donc, qui ont pour molécules actives environ 1000 molécules. Donc, même si nous avions une industrie locale, sur les 6000 références, nous en produirions maximum 200. Donc, ça résoudrait peut-être, peut-on dire, le problème de la contrefaçon sur les 200. Mais attention, sur les 200, si ça se vend bien, la contrefaçon va aussi s'y intéresser.
The minister calls on the vigilance of the population.
And that's it for the first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is Chang Tabe. He is the president of the Popular Action Party. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Madam Immaculate, good evening to all viewers of Equinoxe. Good evening to all members of the Popular Action Party, and good evening to all Cameroonians of goodwill who are really out for a change for this country. It's my pleasure once more to be on this program, as usual, to talk on issues concerning affecting our country. Nation, Cameroon.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Now, we want us to discuss on what's happening at the moment. What's the stance of your party, which is a Popular Action Party, over the complaints filed against the President of the Constitutional Council, Clement Antangana, and two other members of the Constitutional Council by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party?
I think our party has always been in line with aspects of strong institutions and not strong men. I think we are so much in support of such because we've made similar observations concerning the partisan attitude of the President of the Constitutional Council and some other members. I think we've all been clamoring for an independent electoral body coupled with other independent institutions that manage our elections. Remember that the Constitutional Council is the highest judicial body that is authorized to give the final verdict of elections. And then I imagine that a member of the Constitutional Council, the president, being partisan in the CPDM rally, signing motions of support for President Phobia to stand again under the CPM banner, I think it is something that I am of the opinion and that of our party that he should be suspended for some time and investigations are carried out.
Now, Chang Dennis, many are of the opinion that the creation of the Constitutional Council and appointment of its current members was controversial. Do you buy that idea and why?
Yes, from the onset of the appointment of members of this Constitutional Council, we of the Popular Action Party, from the onset, we have always seen it as being controversial, because from the day Magistrate Clement Atangana was appointed as the president of that Constitutional Council, we saw him dancing and giving thanks to the head of state, which by virtue of that position, he's supposed to be non-partisan. So dancing and giving credit to the head of state was already a sign that he will never be independent. So it is quite unfortunate. And again, coupled with other members of the Constitutional Council, we have seen them on many occasions where they have been, they were even former members of the CPDM, but some of them claimed that they have denounced or they resigned, but nobody has seen their resignation. Clement Atangana has been a permanent member of the CPDM, including other council members like Professor Minkwashi, that we all know who have been very active in the CPDM system. So from the onset, their appointments have been very controversial, including other members of other commissions, like even that of the election Cameroon, the members of the electoral body, the director general and the board chairman. Those are all favorite partisan members of the party of the CPDM. But what do we do? I think those are some of the things that we have been vying for a change. We have raised alarms, but nothing, and that's why we ever clamored for a overview or a review of the entire electoral code. So I think it is no news, because we saw it, we've seen it, and you can see during the 2018 presidential elections, almost all the petitions that came in, all what we know is irretrievable. Today he has been given a nickname. The president of the Constitutional Council is known everywhere as Monsieur Irretrievable. That is it.
Now, how does the neutrality of members of the Constitutional Council and members of Elections Cameroon affect the nature of elections in this country?
Well, we can't expect anything from the members of the Constitutional Council, be it that of the Elections Cameroon body. It's all left for Cameroonians to be able to identify such lapses. We of the political terrain will raise a lot of alarm. There can never be any neutrality. From every indications, they have proven beyond reasonable doubt that they are not neutral, because the person that first of all appointed them is not only the head of state, he's a member, he's a president of a political party, and he is still standing. Yeah, he has been standing in for elections. So you cannot be the referee, the linesman, and the match delegate everything, and you expect a fair game. Impossible. You cannot. So there can never be any neutrality in terms of in our elections being organized. But when we raise such alarms, the CPDM has always used it as an opportunity that opposition parties boycott. But those are some of the things that when we see that they feel the terrain is not neutral. It's not neutral. Before elections, from the ELECAM itself to the Constitutional Council, all the institutions that are in charge of organizing the elections and proclaiming results are almost all appointed, all the heads are appointed by the president of a political party, the CPDM, apart from being the head of state. So we don't expect any neutrality. Like I earlier said, President Clement Atangana of the Constitutional Council, during his appointment, he was happy and thanking the head of state as if it was something more of a victory that he has scored, of which rather is someone who is supposed to be neutral and impartial. So I don't see any neutrality in those members. We just pray that Cameroonians should take the bull by their horns and take their place.
With the current case pitting members of the Constitutional Council, what are political actors of the opposition expecting in terms of sanction?
Yes, with the current case, I think in a real democracy, where the democracy prevails, where the institutions of the countries are really there to protect the interests of the people, I think such a complaint should really be taken into consideration. It should be taken into serious, because we are talking about the destiny of our country. We are talking about the will of the people. And when we have institutions that are there to protect the interests of individuals rather than the interests of the population, I think such institution needs to be questioned, or those heading the institution. I think with the present petition pitted against the members of those Constitutional Council, I believe that those responsible for handling such matters immediately, if they also know what has to be done and they are neutral, those members need to be suspended, because there is no news that they did not take part. Especially President Clement Atangana was part of the meeting in Young so part of those who a party meeting for part of those who were writing motion of support for President Paul Biya to stand again, and he took part. He was there. Images don't lie. So we don't need any evidence to ask him for him to be suspended. In a real country where the institutions are stronger than the individuals, automatically, by virtue of his impartiality, someone who is conscious just needs to table his own resignation without even requesting any act of petition. I think a conscious person needs to even resign, or all the members need to resign, because they are proving to Cameroonians that they are not credible or neutral.
Dennis Tabe, President of the Popular Action Party, thank you so much for your time. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always choosing ETV. Have a wonderful weekend in the company of more interesting programs on Equinoxe TV. Bye-bye for now. See you next week. God willing, have a wonderful evening.